Okay, sorry about that. I lost internet connection. It's back on now. Hopefully it's not, I'm not going to lose it again. So this video is going to be divided into two parts, part 1 and part 2. Okay, so now we have the first layer of the shirt and apron. And now I'm going to start highlighting. So I'm going to mix again a gray, lighter gray. I'm going to add more of the cerulean in it. And again, so this is medium tone still. It's not a strong highlight, but it's more than before. So I'm going to go in here, and this is where I see the strong highlight in the shirt. You see it's drying darker and it's drying more blue. I like that. I added a bit of black here because this part is darker. And I'm going to go back to my white and blue, medium tone. You see, you can see it's drying darker. So I'm going to go a little bit high, a little bit lighter. Now let's work on the shoulder part. This is higher, lighter. I'm going to go down. Again, this part. And now I'm going to switch my brush stroke, and I'm going to go more with the movement of the folds. It doesn't matter if I lose the darks in here, I can put them back. This is easier for me. This way. What happens when you put the palette over canvas? Okay, again, a little bit more of the black in here. Just kind of, let's put some blue in it. Much more exciting than having just black and brown and gray. Okay, that's good. I don't want to lose too much of the darks in here. And let's do that. Honestly, I'm not worried about losing the darks, I am going to be able to, of course, highlight. I just don't want to lose completely the darks I see. So if I lose some of it, I'll put it back. And I like to put it back when it's wet. It's just softer blending in here than having a harsh line. See, look, this is what I'm doing right now. I'm adding some of this dark again, slowly. It's really kind of a wet on wet. Now I'm going to go back, highlight a little bit more, put some blue. And I'm going to come here. And again, making sure that I leave some of the darks I see there. More white, blue, white into the gray, and blue, and let's push some of this white in. Even if the blue is, you can see the blue a lot more. That's okay. It should be like that. Again, I'm going to come here. And here. And I'm going to push this down. There's more highlights coming. More than that. A lot more. It's a lot harder to do folds and pleats and stuff like that with acrylics because it dries harsher. than oil. But with a bit of patience, glazing, wet on wet, we can do it. Okay. I can see that this area here, I went a little bit too harsh, too much with the dark, with the lights. So I'm going to darken this. This is where his shoulder is. The sleeve starts here. I'm going to, soften all this a bit so I can highlight over it when it's dry. That's better. Okay, now I need to let this dry, and I'm gonna come here where the sleeve is, where it's rolled. And I'm just gonna start highlighting from here. This is gonna be easier than the sleeve. Right, now let's go back, take some more of the white and wet my brush, push some white in here, and we're going to try to attempt to do the brightest parts of the folds. So I'm going to start again with this part, the collar. Don't push it too much down. Remember, we're putting a lot of white now. This is kind of trying to do pure white just here. But because the color is wet underneath, it's fine. It works fine. It blends in. This is now a little bit more of a stronger white. I'm going to soften now, go to a slightly different value, very slight, not much, and soften in between that strong red, white and the blue or the gray that I was putting in there. Now I'm going to go back to white, take some white and blue, gray. I know it's not an easy at all. It's not easy, but it can be done. Now, wet on wet. Wet on wet. There's a lot of pleats in this, a lot of folds in this shirt. And it should disappear. I shouldn't go. I can see that my brush strokes are exactly the same with the pleats, so I'm going to change the movement of those brush strokes. It shouldn't be like, I should see a strong movement highlight, but they're not all going in this, they are going in the same direction, but not exactly the same. From what I'm seeing in the reference. Folds or pleats or folds should not look exactly the same in all of the, they should change because they're not usually. Should change position and shape a bit. Otherwise it looks boring. I try to change values usually when I'm doing this. So it's not everything's same value. Now, this is good enough. Now let's go to the apron. The aprons usually what they wear in that in France or Paris. They wrap the apron around here and then it goes down from here. So there is a movement that's going this way across. And usually you see the knot or the part of it right here, just a kind of and then take wider brush. My concern right now is the apron. I'm not worried about the rest because I can clean up all of this later on. Now, let's take round brush and take some whites, put them in this. Take enough white, take some blue, and we have a gray, of course. You can add as many, can highlight as much as you want here, but again, just highlight in moderation, don't go overboard. Highlights are always strong. They may change the shape of whatever you're highlighting. I don't want this to be too, oh, I don't want it to be too strong, so I'm going to go back with the darks while it's wet with the grays and soften. I find that softening when it's wet, it's easier, or changing or cleaning, whatever I need to do here. If I want soft brush strokes, it should be done wet on wet. Now I can go in a little bit darker with some blue and take it from here. And take just black and clean up. Oh, it's black. Just clean up here where the apron is. And of course, go over the apron with black. Now, black doesn't cover completely, so which is great because you don't want it to be too harsh. So this is good. I'm just cleaning up. This is where the black gesso is. So instead of having black gesso, I have ivory black. It's great. It looks much nicer. And I'm going to do the same with the hair. And then that's it. Done. Okay, same with the hair part. Where the hair is at the bottom, here, I'm going to soften this a bit. Even if you don't, it doesn't matter. Even if you keep it just the way it is, that's fine. The white on the sleeve is not that strong. I will adjust the camera in a minute so you can see it. So this is the way it looks right now. There's one more part that needs to be done, and it's the lady who is sitting here. I'm just going to put her face just with burnt sienna and bit of burnt umber. And I'm going to highlight this part a bit. Now I'm adding a bit of white to my burnt sienna and burnt umber. Not much. Enough to give it a bit of movement and not all the way down. Keep this part darker, slightly darker, because she's bending her head down. That's brown. And that's it. Right, now, this is the way it looks. I could adjust a bit with a bit of highlights, and I could do that after. Or I could just leave it just the way it is, which is fine. But this is the way it looks. It should look, once we're done, the most challenge was over here. That's really challenging, but it's fine. If you work wet on wet, it's easier. There's a lot of room for improvement here. I could work on this forever, but do I want to? Not really. This is good enough. Remember, this is a good exercise in challenge in values. Most of what we're working with is white or gray. A little bit on these little parts. Like I said, I can work on it. I can work on it for another couple of hours, but I really don't want to. It's good enough. The white is drying. Just a little bit of whites, soft whites with my small brush. What's really nice about this project are the folds in the shirt, and the most difficult to do. And that's it. We're done with this project. This project is done. It was challenging, but it was fun.